From the crossroads of America in the Hoosier state of Indiana, this is Get In, the podcast focused on the unfolding stories and extraordinary innovations happening right now in the heartland. I'm Matt Hunkler, CEO at Powder Keg, and I will be one of your hosts for today's conversation. I'm joined in studio by co-host Christopher Toph Day.
Let's roll. Today's going to be off the chain.
Off the chain, CEO Elevate Ventures, Toph, and Nate Spangle, head of community at Powder Keg.
Yeah, buddy. And
our guest today is Dr. Toby Malichi, founding executive chairman of Malichi Group Worldwide. And he is so decorated. He has done so many amazing things. We were talking a little bit before we hit record here, so I'm very excited about this conversation. He's a global business diplomat, an impassioned entrepreneur. He has been on the forefront of international trade and business and has had a business consultancy for over 4 decades.
Yes, she called one of the local guys in Connersville, Larry Alexander. He said, "How you feeling?" She said, "Oh, Larry, you're not doing too well. You have TV set. Can you get CNN?" So she called the nurse in, the nurse put on CNN. And there was her oldest son, the firstborn, the chosen one. Not with one, but 4 presidents of the United States of America.
Dr. Toby Malichi is an expert in all things global trade. His story isn't just a journey of personal triumph, but a testament to perseverance, strategic vision, and the unyielding power of faith. In today's show, we are going to cover the inspiring moments that define Dr. Malichi's journey, the adversities that tested his resolve, and the principles that guide him in mentoring the next generation of leaders. We'll also learn how Dr. Malichi's early experiences shaped his global perspective, what it means to overcome personal and professional challenges, and how he stayed grounded through it all. And of course, we'll hear firsthand about the lofty goal that had propelled his life work, his ambition to win the Nobel laureate, and why that matters, not just to him, but to the world. Dr. Malichi, thank you for being here and welcome to Get In.
Oh, Matt, thank you very much. I didn't know who you were talking about there for a moment.
That guy's awesome.
Well done.
It is such a pleasure to have you here. And obviously, there's so many things that you've accomplished in your career, but I know the whole thing starts at age 7 or 8.
That's right.
Can you take us back to that moment?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I never get asked that question. So of the thousands of interviews around the world, around the country, it's the first time someone's asked me that.
No kidding.
Yeah, it
it's
is.
such a cool story.
Yeah.
I would love to hear about it.
I'm originally from a small town called Connersville, Indiana.
Okay.
Go Spartans.
Go Spartans. When Nate said that, I was like, yeah. And I don't know, we were poor, but we didn't know we were poor. Never had a father in my household, never saw him until a funeral, and then I graduated from high school, going to play professional baseball, and he shows up, my dad kind of stuff. My mother and aunts took baseball bats to him. True story.
No kidding.
Read him back to Chicago.
Oh my gosh.
But my great-grandmother and my great-grandmother was Irish, Dutch, German, Cherokee, and black. Didn't look like me. So family reunions, where did I come from?
Interesting.
And until I got down to my mother. But I always, for some reason, had these lofty dreams. I don't know. I now know where they came from. I didn't know where they came from. And my mother used to say, of all my boys, there was 3 of us and 2 girls. God bless all of them passed, but one sister. He said, you're the chosen one. My grandmothers, black grandmothers back then, probably still to this day too, but back then they just would take I was the first boy, first grandchild, and first dark-skinned person in my family. So I was spoiled. Won a beauty. I won the most prettiest baby contest in 1950.
We should have led with that.
Yeah, oh, well, it's funny because when I saw the picture of it in the News Examiner, I couldn't tell what it was. But for some reason, I had just a fascination with globes. I'd see a globe or a world. It just come. We had encyclopedias. They were used. We go down to the library and get them and bring them and look at them.
That was the internet. The entire internet was in those encyclopedias.
You know what? That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right, Tom. And so, first and second grade went by, and I just we had what do you want to be when you grow up? And I just in the 3rd grade, I said, I want to become a world leader.
Wow.
And everyone,
Where'd it come
look,
from?
I know it's God now.
Yeah.
But back then, I think just me just looking at the globe and seeing, these pictures of the globe and different people around the globe. And I said, I want to do that. I want to meet these people. I think it'd be fascinating to do that. And it was a turbulent time, back in the early 50s. So I believe in peace. I believe in business for peace. And so I said, I want to win the Nobel Peace Prize. I want to do that in 8th grade. And it just stuck that the goals I've set, I wanted to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And I'm going to win it. I'm going to earn it. I went back for my 55th high school reunion at the end of this past October.
Wow. And
all my kids, not my kids, the classmates from kindergarten, 2nd, 3rd grade, the one thing they talked about, they said, Dr. Toby, goal is to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And then they had an article where I'd said that.
Wow.
From 3rd grade. I know somebody wrote it up.
Right.
But that was just something I believe in. I've worked towards it, continue to work for it.
Do you think it's important to have a big, lofty goal like that?
Yeah. I think my grandmother used to call me Mastermind. And I call her Mama, Frances J. Ware. She said from Peach City, Georgia, or Atlanta, she said maybe she had a 5th grade education, maybe. But the smartest, most intuitive, motherwit person you ever wanted to meet. And Mama, I call her Mama called me Mastermind. She says, man, you're always doing something. Your mind never stops. It's always just going. I'd have dreams. I'm on my own private jet. I don't think I even had jets back then. And you have to understand, it's a 3-bedroom home, and we had an outhouse eventually that got plumbed inside. We had one faucet, cold water, so we had to heat that on the coal stove. So it had to be God and planting these in me because I wanted to get my mother out of that area. We didn't call them ghettos back then. It was just where blacks were relegated to live. I always just had goals and dreams. And I always remember getting in trouble in school. Come on, Malachi, quit daydreaming. And I could see these world leaders. And so it just kept on.
I love that daydreaming, fantasy, right? Visualizing.
Visualizing, yeah.
I'm curious how you think about, so you obviously heard you're the chosen one.
Yeah.
You heard these words before you probably knew how to speak.
Exactly right.
And so what do you think that does for the subconscious, right, of children growing up being told you can do it, you can be anything you want to be, et cetera, building them up? I want to share a quick story before you answer that question that you made me think of a moment ago. I was at a retreat recently, and Gary Brackett, who used to play for the Colts and he was on the championship team, and one of the folks at the retreat were talking about life and kids and pursuit of your passions, et cetera. And one of the parents said, my child, my son, is a sophomore, junior, and has these visions of being I can't remember if it was a baseball player, a football player, or something. And he's not going to achieve that. Like, how do I reset his expectations? And Gary said, you don't. You let him go for it. Let him dream about it.
I like that.
And because if you don't, whatever that thing is, that lofty goal. So even if that's the lofty goal and the child doesn't hit that, and they hit here, and if you're only listening, I'm visualizing with my hands.
Yes.
That's still awesome.
Yes.
And so how do you think about that?
Oh, I like that. Mama, back to Mom again, and thank you, Matt. No one's ever asked me that question. Mama always said, man, you can be anything and everything, and just think about what you want to be. Just dream about it. Just have a vision.
Permission to dream.
Permission to dream. Oh, I like that.
I do too.
And then telling kids, she always encouraged and inspired us. And your point was well taken, and Gary Brackett, is that let it go. Don't kill the dream. Don't kill the kid's dream. Yeah. I didn't know any better. I just knew I wanted to have more than one pair of blue jeans.
A modest goal, but a good goal on the way to Nobel laureate.
Nobel laureate, and it was just a natural gift. I got along with all people. Yeah. And then I said, times were tense back there, like they are now, but they're a little more tense. This was the 50s. Sure. And if I go up to anybody and talk to anybody, I didn't care. It just didn't make any difference. I'd go up and just talk to them. This kid must be crazy. But he's a kid, so you can't push him away, but I just go up and just talk. To this day, I do that.
Where did you get your entrepreneurial spark?
Great question. 2 people, 3 people maybe. One was Mary Bell Perkins. We had one business in the black neighborhood on the hill. It was a grocery store.
Do you remember what it was called?
I should have. I don't, but I should have.
That's all right. We'll research it so we can get in the show notes.
Yeah, Mary Bell Perkins, and up on the hill. And she would walk in there, and back then, you can buy a knee-high bottle of pop for a nickel, Coca-Cola for a nickel. Bubble gum, 5, 10 pieces for a nickel. Coca-Cola, 6 cents. Bread was like 11 cents. Or a quart of milk, 27 cents.
Wow.
And see all these things, products in the store. And I was taught by my mother so I was the oldest of 5, of 3 at that particular time, that she said, anything you need in life, you're going to have to work for it. So she made a scrub the toilet, clean the house, dust, all that things while other kids went out to play. We had to do those things. She teaches us discipline, didn't know. So I go to Berry Bell, she said, if you bring in pop bottles, back then you got a deposit for bringing in the pop bottles.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And so I said, and I'd go out and I'd get in a wooden case back then, and I'd bring in pop bottles, 2 or 3, 4 cases of pop bottles, and get money for the deposits, buy some candy, and I'd give my mother a few pennies to go towards groceries.
That's great.
And Maribel said, you know what? You're going to own a business one day. She said, you're very enterprising. And then my great-grandmother, great-grandma Dillingham, who was Irish, Cherokee, and Dutch German, she used to call me Get Up.
Oh, I love that.
And because
we got Get Up on the Get In podcast.
Yeah, really. I love it. Back then, since we were poor, everybody had coal stoves back then.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd go down in their basements, a little skinny kid, and bring coal out from the basement up to the coal stoves during the winter. I would shovel snow in the winter. I'd rake leaves during the fall, cut grass during the summer. And so it was always like, he's always mastermind. He's always doing something business, Then Frankie Baker, who could not read or write, but when he died, ended up having a lot of money. He always bought a new Oldsmobile 88 every year. He drove nice clothes, but he hauled trash, literally dirty, stinky trash. And he'd take me with him, and I'd go with him, lift these little barrels up because I wanted to be muscular, Nate, build up. Because I was getting ready to box the Golden Gloves back because I had to build up and stuff. And I throw on the truck. I was trying to find ways to make money to help my mother. And so he said, you're going to have a business one day. You're an entrepreneur, but that's not the word they use. You're going to own a business. And he taught me humility because he couldn't read or write, and he didn't put the syllables together maybe right. And it angered me sometimes when people laugh at him. I'd take up for him. But he was laughing all the back, and he literally signed his name with an X. Literally did.
Wow.
But he always had this new dump truck, and then I learned how to drive the dump truck. Those two primarily, and then my godfather was Perry Cox, who worked in a factory but then became a barber. The late Phil Cox was the basketball, was his father. And he told me this. He said, Toby, he said, learn to use your mind instead of your hands.
That's powerful.
That's powerful because back there everybody worked in the factory that's about all we could do. Now, that stuck with me the whole time. So that's where it all came out of. It just went from there.
You had some great early mentors.
Yeah, and didn't know it.
Yeah.
It was just like you just didn't know it.
You just talked through being a young kid, hauling trash and coal and cutting lawns and all these opportunities.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for any entrepreneur out there on spotting opportunity? Because I feel like everything you just said is just a master class on being able to identify opportunities and take action. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Oh, and that's a very important question, Nate, and I hope I can give us some justice here. I tell young kids, what's happened is when I resigned from General Motors Corporation, I became a motivational speaker and trainer. And I started doing training exercises, motivation exercises, trying to build my business up from there. Set goals, have dreams, get up. Nothing ever happens until you get up. And I told the parents, this was in the 80s, I said, look, I come from a broken home. I'd come up, we were poor, we were poor, but we had everything we needed to have. It seems like back. The Marine Corps would bring us toys during the Christmas time, or JCs would bring us food. So we had things to go. We didn't have the best of best. So I'd always would work, and then I got another part-time job at Sears and Roebuck when I was able to. My grandmother worked there as a stock boy. I mopped in the laundromat, and people laughed at me. They used to laugh because it was like, we don't do that. And I told the parents, yes, I want my kids to have it better than me. But I said, don't forget to tell your kids how you got to where you are. And Nate, they dropped that lesson.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about. They let go. They drop that lesson. No, I'm going to give them anything they want. They drop the lesson. Now today, it's even worse. I'll say it because now it's just like, I want this. I'm going to get this any kind of way. Okay, I'll give it to you. I'll write a check. But you lost that discipline. You lost a big part of you that will help you not in your teens, necessarily, but in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s and up, because there comes time, there will come times, I'm a testimony of this, you have to draw back on those experiences. And I said, I grew up poor without. If something happens in America and we get cut off from food, electricity, water, I don't know how to survive.
Yeah.
It goes back to that training that I had growing up, and we've gotten away from that.
How do you think people can cultivate that skill of spotting opportunity? Because it sounds like for you, it really came from a place of necessity. If I don't spot the opportunity, I'm going to be working at Sears Roebuck the rest of my life, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but that wasn't your
loftier
dream.
goals. Yeah, that's great. Now, all of my kids, I taught the way I was taught and raised up. And they're all enterprising. They're all, work. My oldest daughter, she's an international model, actress, works with challenged girls, but she'll still work 2 or 3 jobs. My son spent time in the Air Force. All my kids, Colby, all my kids got degrees. That's my 5. That's my greatest accomplishment
awesome.
right there.
Congratulations.
But I taught them all that to work. And I used to give a motivational talk with the great Zig Ziglar.
Oh, yeah. I used to listen to Zig Ziglar tapes all the time.
And Zig would take me around and speaking. And Zig said something that stuck with me. And I'll share this with you. He said, the only place that you'll see success come before work is in the dictionary.
Yes.
That's awesome.
There's a title.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Mic drop.
So I think that's a powerful lesson. If you want opportunity, just start working.
Yeah.
Just start doing things.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to find opportunity sitting on your couch or messing around, not doing anything, sitting on your hands.
So how'd you start to transition then? So you, just the wealth of knowledge that you were able to gain growing up, right? And the like positive reinforcement. So now you're in high school, you're playing some sports, you're starting to think about college, you're starting to think about what am I going to do? Give us those stepping stones from kind of 16, 17, 18 years old, kind of stepping stones into your mid-20s as we approach your... When did you start your business today?
January 1, 1982.
In 82? And so you were 30-ish?
I was 31.
31?
Yeah.
Maybe walk us through
32. It's already set in. Yeah.
So what were those connection points, relationships or connection points that got you from high school? You played sports in high school, right? And it sounds like you were a rock star.
No,
But how,
I wasn't.
Like, close that gap for us, that decade, as we approach the things you've been working on the last 4 decades.
Very excellent question. And then I'll reflect back. Anything that I wanted, I had to work for. Anything. We just didn't have it. We just didn't have it. The negative, never had the negative reinforcement. They didn't allow it. Grades in school, no excuse. Just see, you're not average. You can do better. And just on, but now you're going to go into high school, you start thinking about college. And of course, I'm first generation, went to college. And I thought, like most black kids do, at the time I was going to play professional sports. Baseball was probably the best sport. I boxed the gloves, so I thought Muhammad Ali was my hero, so I was going to become a professional boxer. I thought that was going to be a way to go. And then basketball I later picked up basketball in college, became a Hall of Famer at IUPUI, which was now going to be Indiana University.
Casual, just
Just
picked
casual.
just picked it up and became a Hall of Fame.
Kind of like Michael Jordan.
And I baled hay, like I was telling Toff, I grew up baling hay to make money. Bale hay, shuck corn, pick corn, shuck tobacco. I did all those things just to work to keep my mother. I was like the man of the house. As Mama used to say, she felt bad for me because I never had a childhood, because I was always working to try to help my mother and my siblings out. But I had to start thinking about I wanted to go to college. I always just wanted to go to college. I'd hear the teachers say, you can do it, and you can do it. And I talked to so many people. They'd have speakers come to our high school and speak on stage, like convocations and stuff. And I'd say, I can do that. I'm not afraid to talk to a crowd. I can do that. And matter of fact, my high school named me, you're going to love this, Mr. Talkative, the most talkative.
Mr.
Yes.
Talkative.
Yeah, most talkative was my.
Got the right person
They
for the
got the right.
podcast.
Yeah, so it was really funny because that came up again. But I was most talkative because I was always talking to people going up, and I don't care who you were, I want to know about you, what's going on. Started going through high school, thought maybe sports might be the way, baseball I thought would be the way. Then I got a little serious with the books, had to get that. Things weren't seeming to go because we didn't have any money to go to college. And so I ended up being scouted by the Pittsburgh Pirates. And so let's tell a story about that. On the Pittsburgh Pirates, Mr. Howard, one of the greatest gentlemen I ever met in my life, had 9 kids. His oldest son and I played baseball together, but one of his youngest baby son was Matt Howard, who played for Butler.
Oh, wow.
But Mr. Howard ever since my mother died, my brother died, my sister died, the other brother died, he always would bring the kids to the funeral. What a gentleman.
Yeah.
So he got to travel the Pittsburgh Pirates, Cincinnati Reds, which was 25, 30 minutes from Connersville. But me and my mother were banging heads senior in high school. I'm 18, and I can't wait to leave. I'm get out of here. And she said, yeah, you're going. And there's not no waiting. You're going. You're going to go to college. You're going to go to the Army, or you're going to work, but you're getting out of here. And she meant that. I was 18. I did not know until I was 35 and a half years old that I could come back home.
Wow.
She said, you want to be a man? You want to be a tough guy? You want to go out there? She said, there you go. But at 18, you're out the door. You can't come back.
Wow.
And that made me grow up in so many ways. And so the baseball didn't work out, so still didn't have anything. I graduated in the top 4th of my honor society in my high school. And a lady named B worked for the Indiana Social Security, the Indiana Department of something, can't remember what it was back then. And my mother, I used to go with her to scrub people's floors, iron their clothes, she'd fix their meals. We cleaned a couple of office buildings downtown in Connersville, little small places. And she says, I want more for you than this, and you got to go to college. Sports wasn't forthcoming. And then, so I started looking at different types of school, business schools, but they were like 1-year business schools, 9 months, and then you can come out and work. But that didn't seem to work. And I went to Pittsburgh and was going to go to Pittsburgh, got cut. But then my mother called me, and B had got me an academic scholarship.
Your
And
teacher.
She worked for it was state Social Security, I don't know if it was the welfare office. I can't remember what office it was back then, because they just took a liking to me.
Wow.
And got me some academic scholarships. The Lions Club gave me a little money. My church, Methodist Church, gave me a little money. DePaul was one of the colleges, Nate, that I was going to.
Go Tigers?
Go Tigers. Just didn't know which. I just knew I wanted to go.
Yeah.
And I ended up going to the greatest thing that's ever happened to me education-wise, Vincennes University.
Oh, wow.
Vincennes University. And I just worked for that. And Vincennes took kids like myself, troubled, fragmented backgrounds, somewhat not having the best things in life, and worked with us. And I ended up being on the basketball team, not as a player because I got there too late, but the coach put me on as a trainer and a student. I got the same scholarship.
Wow.
And then a guy named Mr. Cooper, who was from Maine, was the dorm director. And I ended up going to Vincennes early that summer because I got cut from the Pirates, and I got the dates mixed up. I was down there sitting on a bench. I had no place to sleep, no place to go. I had a little money in my pocket. I had my car that I worked for. And Mr. Cooper came out, saw me sitting there. I said, I'm here to start classes. He said, classes don't start for another week or two. And what are you doing for a place to stay? I said, I don't know, sir. I said, I'll figure it out. And he said, I'll tell you what. I'm over the dormitories. I got a room. There's no sheets, no blankets. I'll get you a blanket. You can stay in the dormitory until classes come around, start. And then he said, you got housing? I said, no, sir, but and he made me an RA.
Oh,
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
You know, your story really reminds me of a quote from one of our other podcast interviews, serial entrepreneur, who's just talking about how if what you want is someone to help you,
Yeah.
show that you're doing the work. Think about someone who's got their car broken down on the side of the road,
Yeah.
and if they're just sitting there with their thumb out,
Yeah.
versus they're there trying to push their car up the road, it's
yeah.
much easier to get someone to come and help you push the car.
Oh, great. Oh, you just, boy, you guys got me going here. Something Toff said that just took me back based on the question that you just asked. Visualization. Yeah. My hometown, growing up, Connersville was called Little Detroit. The Duesenberg was built there. Part of the studio was built there. The Avant was built there. Stamp Manufacturer made all the radiator caps back then. They had D&M metal fabrication built there. They had a Ford plant built there. So I had the vision I want to work for, but Ford was number 2. I've always been a competitor.
Number 1.
I was number 1, and General Motors, baby, was number 1. Yeah. And so it was my goal to go to work for General Motors Corporation.
How'd you make that happen?
I was working, after college, I was working for AF&B Bank back then on a career development program. I thought I'd be a banker because I love money. When you come up poor, you want a little money.
That's right.
So I don't love money, but I just wanted.
A little walking around money never hurt nobody.
No, little pocket change to do something. And the girls wouldn't go with a poor guy anyway. So there it is.
Strong motivator.
And so I was working for the bank, and I'd gone to a headhunter, Mike Morley, Irishman, Notre Dame through and out. And I went into a businessman's clearinghouse, what it was called. And I said, Morley, I need a different job. This is me. It's too slow pace. I want something challenging, place like there. And he called me up. He said, General Motors is interviewing in town. So they're going to interview about 100 people. You have to be black. I said, okay. And can you be here at 6 o'clock? Will be the last appointment, which is right across the street from FNB Bank.
I love it. In that situation, be the last.
Yeah.
The last one.
And I said, oh, God, General Motors, yes, this is it. And my then girlfriend, became my fiance, we got married, now divorced. I said, look, General Motors is in town, and she's going to pick me up. And she had a cousin came in from Cleveland. So I'm going to go over here and talk to him. When I walked, I'd done enough studying about GM. Back in those days, you had to be married. They wanted you to have a mortgage and some kids. And that's the way that you'll be with them a lifelong employee back then. I had neither. The last guy to come out of the interview was a fraternity brother of mine at IU, Tommy Britton. Tommy was married, his wife went to school, had a baby. He worked for GMAC back then. And I went, the little self-doubt started going in, he's going to get the job because I had another. But I thought back, my grandmother saying, ain't nobody better than you. Yep. You earn your stripes like everybody else. They put their legs on just like you do, one leg at a time. So don't you doubt yourself. And I went in, true story, and sit down, and Bud Fortman, another Dutch German. So I said, you're in my family. I got And he sit there, and back then they were saying blacks, only black because they wanted affirmative action. It'd be that 10% affirmative action. And I went in, sit down. I was standing up with Mr. Fortman. He said, sit down. And he said, tell me about yourself. I said, sir, can I say something? He said, yeah, what? I said, Mr. Fortman, if you're going to hire me because I'm black, you're going to hire me for 10% affirmative action, I'm not your guy. True story. He lay back in his chair and he says, how much time do you have? Wow. I said, I've got time. 3 hours later, I left out.
Wow.
I'm on jet plane, General Motors plane, going to Dayton. Got the job. I was the youngest division manager at 23. I was then Frigidaire division before I came over to Chevrolet Motor division.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Love it. That's awesome.
I want to make sure we get a chance to talk about your business because your accomplishments, your accolades reads like a highlight reel of international success.
Very generous.
I'm curious, out of all those experience and awards, is there one that you hold particularly near and dear to your heart?
Can we set this up just real quick?
Yeah, please.
And correct me, I'm going to have the words slightly wrong if you guys remember the exact words. So to set this up, you have been involved in 95% of all of the small business export trade agreements.
Free trade agreements, yeah.
Free trade agreements over the last
6 consecutive White Houses.
6 consecutive White House administrations. That's amazing.
Thank you. And I've been asked to go with the 7th.
It's amazing.
The White House called me back in March and said, when you go 2 more years, and they'll give me 7 consecutive White House administrations.
That's amazing.
Thank you. There's a lot that stands out, and I'll tell you, I transitioned from the motivational speaking and training business because I always wanted to do international trade. I served on the board of the Indiana Chamber of Commerce, was on the executive committee, there. And then I became the first black vice chairman and chairman of the Indiana Small Business Council. And that just got me catapulted up to the U.S. Chamber. And I just still had this thing about the world, the globes. I just never, from the third grade, those globes again.
That's cool.
Come to my home and you'll see globes around.
Yeah.
And visualization.
Yep.
The power of visualization. And I was asked, we're in the White House, they called business leaders in. This time President Clinton called business leaders in from around the country. And they wanted us first to meet with Hillary to talk about the insurance deal they had, health care, and we, as small business leaders, didn't like that. We just didn't like the agenda that she was proposing. Mm-hmm. And she finds out, and off ear and experts, this small business people can be pretty vocal.
Never.
we can be pretty vocal, so killed that. So had us in the White House and going to talk about this thing called free trade agreements, the NAFTA. And President Clinton kept looking at me. He'd walk by it, he looked, he'd come back again, he would look, he'd come back again, he would look. And my colleagues from around the country said, like, what's going on? He keeps looking at you. And I'm going like, yeah. I said, I said, no, I've never seen before in my life. It's a little unnerving. And you got the Secret Service. I've never been that many Secret Service agents in my life. And we're going back and forth again. And so when we're over, the Secret Service says, keep your seat till the president leaves the room. Two yahoos decide they're going to get up early. Bad mistake. First time I've seen this, the Secret Service in unison, they test those guys some kind of way, and boy, they just dropped, went down. So all of us like, oh, we ain't,
pressure point.
we ain't moving. Yeah. I'm a brother. I definitely ain't moving. And so Lexis Herman, who later became Secretary of Labor, came over to me. His wife, she said, in her southern voice, she said, baby, she said, the president would like to talk with you. And everybody looked like, God, what's going on? You all right? What's going on? I said, I don't know. But I'm confident in myself, but still unnerved because the President of the United States of America. He said, he's through this door here. And it's the hallway and I go through the door, and there's Bill Clinton. Matt, this is in between you and Toff. That's how close we were.
Wow.
And I backed up, and I said, yes, sir. And he said, I hear you're a pretty good speaker. I said, yes, Mr. President. And I hear that you know how to handle legislatures. I said, I've had some experience back in Indiana. We do all right. We get things done. And he said, I want you to be my lead on NAFTA for small, medium-sized enterprises.
Wow.
I want you to be the lead speaker and advocate.
Wow.
That was very memorable. And from that point on, things just shot up.
Yep.
And then I got to be around other world leaders. I got to be a part of APEC, Asian Pacific Economic Corporation, WTO World Trade Organization. I was a delegate, delegate for the U.S., ASEAN, USTR, U.S. Trade Representative Office. We had that. We had TTAC, which is the Economic China, dealt with world leaders, and be on the board of the Chamber of Commerce. I served on the National Policy Committee for 13 years. So all kinds of world leaders, but a lot of times I'm the only black in the room.
Yeah.
Almost 100% of the time I'm only black in the room, so they would come to me and we'd talk, and grew up, and that honed my skills diplomatically, how to deal with world leaders from all over. And I've met at that time almost every world leader there was.
Who's the most magnetic, positive, where you got a great vibe from, world leader, and who is what are the words I want to use? The not so magnetic, maybe scariest world leader you've ever met that gave you the EBGBs? To be technical.
Yeah. Technical.
That's an industry term.
Yes.
The scariest one, I can't tell you because there's something going on in the world today.
Sure.
But that
10-4.
That was an experience. One of the ones I have the pictures of is President Ifre of Chile. And I worked on that free trade agreement. That was the first time of the Chile-U.S. free trade agreement. And we had a big deal on Potomac and on the Spirit of Washington, which was the yacht. And President Ifre at that time allowed Chilean wine. I'm a huge red wine drinker, huge. I drink it every day.
Oh, are you a cab guy or Malbec?
Cab, Malbec, or Pinot. Call me anytime. Or come over. You're welcome to come over anytime. I've got some for you. You're welcome anytime. I know.
I'll show up.
Yeah, well, you're a big guy, so we'll try to find you something. looking, so we just clicked off, and I have a picture of it. I'm trying to dig it out for you. He was just fascinated with me. I was fascinated with him. Just the energy, Presidents in Delaware when I was at the state dinner for the White House. Very memorable. That was one of the most memorable times because my work had paid off with that. And we had a private breakfast and that. And then went to Mexico with the late Ron Brown. And to Mexico and couldn't sign the NAFTA accord. I was going to tell you something about NAFTA here in the morning, my greatest moment. And then I must drop. I had a great time with Tung Chi Hall. If you go to my website, Malichi.com, you'll see me shaking hands with Tung Chi Hall, which is in that diplomatic room with the U.S. Chamber, and Tom Downey has white hair, China. You'll see me and him shaking hands. That's the time that he invited me to be his guest on the infamous shot in Hong Kong when China went back to communism.
Wow.
And it's on my website, and we were shaking hands.
Oh my God.
And he was just taken back. It was a Chinese. You hear different things about race and stuff. We go fabulously.
Yeah.
With it. And so that's a good one. There's so many that I have met, time with them. But just one after one quick one.
Please.
The greatest one was that my mother, God bless her, I was the first black to have a business in the AUL Tower downtown One America.
Yep.
And late Jerry Simler, me in.
Oh, sure.
And I came back from Chicagoland, resigned from General Motors. He had all the space in Castleton. Back then, Castleton was the spot. So I said, I can't afford more. He said, we'll work it out. He gave me an opportunity. He said, watch me work, watch my integrity, how I had things, how I'm happy. I mean, all that things that you're an expert at, those things go into successful business, right? And so got in there, and then I moved across the street in Capital Center North Tower because the space was by my ice melt, brought my floor out, the law firm. And first time my mother had ever come up, to Indianapolis to see my offices.
Wow, that's gonna be a big moment.
And,
Just give me chills.
And I had all backs on the wall. I mean, God's blessed, I've got enough to, to go around.
Yeah, I bet.
And she said, one day, one of my boys, there was three of us, gonna go to the White House. It's 1987. One of my boys is going to go to the White House, and when he does, he's going to know how to talk. The king's he's going to know how to talk, and his shoes are going to be shine. Now, the most beautiful, number one person. We all think our mothers are beautiful, right? Because if a man's shoes were out with him, I was that boy.
You've got a pin on your lapel there.
On her deathbed.
And cufflinks.
Her presidential cufflinks. On her deathbed with cancer.
Wow.
I was at the White House, and she called one of the local guys in Connersville, called her, Larry Alexander, great basketball player of the 50s. Called her, my mother Beaner, he said, how you feeling? She said, oh, Larry, reports back to me, you have a TV set on. She said, yeah. She said, can you get CNN? She said, so she called the nurse in, the nurse put on CNN. And there was her oldest son, the firstborn, the chosen one, not with one, but 4 presidents of the United States of America. And I was on this front side row.
That's incredible.
That was Bush, George Bush, President Carter, and President Ford, and President Clinton, and Al Gore. And I was only one of 3 black males in that room. One was late Ron Brown, and Ron Espy, his Commerce Secretary, was for agriculture. And it was on CNN.
Your mom
and
got
she
to
saw
see
that,
it.
and she got to see it. It passed shortly after that.
That's incredible.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
What a moment.
Making me emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't tell you started off.
I appreciate you sharing.
Great.
And one thing I would really didn't ask.
Yeah.
I'm by your statement. We can solve a lot of the world's problems through business for peace and one trade deal at a time.
Yes.
Can you a bit on that philosophy?
Yeah. Representing the United States all over the world has been an honor. We're going to have more coming up here after the first year. And Costa Rica, and it said I've been the only black who was an entrepreneur. Now there were blacks may have been there, but they were career. Own my own small business. Again, small business guy, woman, person, go in. But I always gone with world leaders. President Clinton once told me President George W. Bush once told me, said, we're going to start having you coming in the room because everybody's going to you before they come to us. And I'm the president of the United States of America. True something.
Wow.
You know, yeah. I addressed a little bit. So I kept thinking, meeting all these people from all the world, all walking in, everybody literally all over the world, literally. And I just got along with them. Back those days in Connersville, always talking to somebody, always going around. And I said, man, we have these nice, elaborate meals, and everybody's, guards down a little bit. They're talking business. We're talking trade, talking about how to improve trade, access to markets, and not about war battle. And I kept saying, like, boy, there's a opportunity here, to do so. And each place I started going was doing that for the White House, for our great country, and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, for our great country going around. And I was on a plane going to, on business. It was a religious business this particular time. It's beside a Marine. We talked a little bit, and gave me his wife, and we talked, and his phone number, and what have you. And he said, come out of your mouth are peace and trade, what you do. I said, yes, sir. I said, Malichi Group Worldwide, we facilitate cross-border trade and investment deals. We bring those deals together around the world. We're over 70 countries around the world. And I really enjoy it, and I do this house and administration, and for U.S. Chamber of Commerce and other organizations I belong to. And, the world's problems can be solved over a meal. I said, yes, sir. I've been doing it for a lot of years, and we talk about trade. And I said, wow, can solve the world's problems over a meal, one trade deal at a time.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, Dr. Malichi.
And I got the name the Global Godfather.
Yeah.
Global Godfather.
Well, I was just about to say, Dr. Malichi, Global Godfather, Mr. Talkative, Get Up, Mastermind. It has been a pleasure, and I could talk to you for hours if you would allow me to do so. But we are to our last couple minutes here. And I was hoping we could do Nate's favorite part of the show.
My favorite part of the show.
Yeah.
It's called the lightning round.
All right,
Are you ready?
let's do it.
These are quick hit questions, no wrong answers.
Let's do it.
Before we get to the lightning round, I kind of just want to, we had, this is just in my head. So we had Mr. Talkative, relative.
Most talkative.
Toph, what was your senior superlative?
Oh, Lord have mercy. I don't remember.
Most beautiful.
I was
beautiful.
Best jump shot?
I was rebelling so hard my junior, senior high school. That's a whole other.
And that is the mark of a great entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And I said it's just real
Rebel
quick.
against the system.
Rebel against the system. I just want to say this real quick. And I did a little research back. We're so honored to have Indiana because you are really known around the world in your venture capital, your ventures. And you're really top flight. We're glad. I'm glad I hear other people talk business circles. We're honored to have you here and what you brought here. You could have gone anywhere in the country, but you're here with us. And I appreciate that.
Amen. Yeah, let's go. I love it. Well,
They make me emotional all over again.
This has been a roller coaster of an episode.
It's been so great.
It's spectacular. Let's do the lightning round.
Let's do it.
All right. Outside of the amazing entrepreneurial ecosystem, what is Indiana known for?
Oh, it's got to be quick, right?
Quick.
Sports.
Basketball.
Hey, IUPUI because I'm a Hall of Famer.
Go Jags, baby.
Go Jags. I love
Let's
that.
go. Is that Grant Hill? Is he also a
I was 1970, so
there we go. Hall of Fame. That's a whole other story to go how you went from Vincent's to IUPUI and Hall of Fame. We'll get on that in episode 2. What is a hidden gem in Indiana?
it's people. We're too damn quiet here. We need to brag and talk more about what we do here.
Amen.
That was a high five. We got on the
That
mic.
was a
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You're so right.
We got great people here.
Great
oh, my
answer.
God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And finally, who is someone we need to keep on our radar? Someone who is doing big things.
In Indiana?
Have to be.
Doesn't have to be.
Oh. Wow. I'd say Toff.
Yeah.
This
He's the epicenter. He's the catalyst of what every business needs right now, money, capital. McKinsey just laid off a bunch of people, cutting back on salaries. Boston Consulting Group is. J.P. Morgan's going to do a thing that they're looking for partners for their private equity group with. Model Corporation, Journal Corporation, refinancing for money, right? We're in need of it, so we're going to be around. So I'd have that and spend something that's carried us, so I'd be close to the money.
Yeah, Christopher Day.
Yeah.
That's the first on this podcast, but I
Humbled.
Here.
Thank you.
Here. Right here in the nation's nucleus.
And another guy that I like that's here locally that's doing great things is Emil Ikior.
Oh,
Yes.
Emil's great. He was on episode, I think,
three or four.
Yeah,
Yes.
Emil and I are good friends, and he's
incredible.
he's incredible. He's got a heart. He's doing things. Want credit for it. He's building an ecosystem. So you have both sides of that equation. Yeah,
I love it.
Well, I can't wait to read the headlines when you get the Nobel laureate.
I'll invite you.
Peace
You
Prize.
guys got to come.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I'm there. We'll bring some
Same.
bottles of red wine too.
Yeah.
Oh,
We'll have ourselves a
Nate.
party.
It would
Yeah.
be some good stuff, too.
I will say, can I say one
I'm
thing?
a little intimidated. Good enough bottle of wine for you.
No, I'm a brother. If it's red, we'll drink it. Real quick, Dussler, who was the president of St. Clair Christian University. They're the oldest sect of the Orthodox Catholic Church. They're tied into the Vatican. Last year, on my 72nd birthday, the Columbia Club honored me with the International Peace Medallion.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm one step closer.
You're one
Yes,
step
sir.
closer.
Come on, you're gonna get it.
Thank you,
You're
Nate.
gonna get it.
Thanks,
Congratulations.
Nate.
And thank you so much for sharing your time and your stories here today. It's been an honor having you on Get In.
I Tough calls. I tell him, tough calls, I come. I honors him, and Matt, I read about you and the great things that you're doing. I read about Nate and the great things you're doing, and former athletes, and we all in sports. Another way can solve the world's problems through sports.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the coaching plan,
Absolutely.
and so it's just a real time to talk about something that's no one's really ever asked me to talk about in a length of time.
Thank you, Dr.
It was
Malak.
I'd love to do it again.
Yeah. Can I say my closing marks?
Yes.
Have a successful day and think globally. We doze, but never close.
That is a perfect way to end. Mic drop. This has been Get In, a Powder production in partnership with Elevate Ventures. And we want to hear from you. If you have suggestions for a guest or a segment, reach out to Matt or Nate on LinkedIn or on email. To discover top-tier tech companies outside of Silicon Valley in hubs like Indiana, check out our newsletter at powderkeg.com/newsletter. And to apply for membership to the Powderkeg executive community, check out powderkeg.com/premium. We'll catch you next time and next week as we continue to help the world get in. Since you just listened to this podcast, you might be thinking about starting one for your company. Lucky for you, our partners over at Casted have you covered. Casted is the first and only podcast and video marketing platform made specifically for B2B brands. I love this about them. The platform makes it possible to publish, syndicate, amplify, and measure the value of your podcast and video content. In fact, we use it for our podcast here at Powderkeg. And if you're a startup, you should listen up because Casted for Startups is definitely for you. They are offering exclusive deep discounts of up to 82% off retail price for qualifying startups. Connect with Casted at casted.us/powderkeg.